All right, welcome to Black Sheep and Bad Apples, episode number 7. We have myself, Sean Hill, here in Fourth Quarter Studios, recording tonight with Sam Mitchell and also
how's it
Ram
going?
Baca.
Hi, guys.
And as always, we have your host, Loren O'Brien.
Oh, thank you, Sean. That was a lovely introduction.
It's going to be an exciting night tonight, I think.
I think so too. I got a couple of topics to talk about.
Ooh, a couple.
Tonight we've kind of our last couple episodes we haven't really touched on a singular subject. Tonight for most of the show we're going to be talking about monogamy versus non-monogamy and polyamory and the difference between the two and how we feel about those things. But I wanted to do something a little different tonight. I wanted to ask each of you a question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and it's going to be a hard-hitting question.
Oh, shit.
So who wants to go first?
Ron does.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
Ron
yeah,
does.
yeah. Hit me with it,
All right,
baby.
Ron, you're first.
Oh, what's your question, babe?
What was something good that happened to you this week? Something that was just like, fuck yes.
Oh, shit. Good. Nothing really comes to mind, man. I got like a little time to myself to relax and enjoy some nice, what would you call it, chamber music at the cafe the other day.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
I had to get stuck working closing shifts again, but otherwise, it was a good night.
Yeah.
Got some easy listening, some lovely cello and flute stuff going on. Got out an hour earlier because we were expecting a meeting to go on afterwards that would have gone on for another couple hours. So, early night off.
So you thought you had a late night, but it turned out to be an early night?
Yeah.
What'd you do when you got home?
Pretty much just went to bed.
Lazy bones.
I know, right? And
You
it was
didn't, like,
nice.
You didn't like play video games or dick around with your hats,
Well, I mean, like, I don't...
Mr. Milliner?
I will say, I like having my after work drink or two. So like by the time I got home, I did
It was a
not feel
booze snooze for
capable
you.
of like playing with hat stuff. Sewing can get real weird when you have double vision, but that was a good night.
So,
I assume that might be kind of dangerous for the fingers in the sewing machine as well.
Well, that's why presser foots were an amazing invention in the matter of anything sewing.
yeah.
Neat. All right.
Sean, you same question.
Ooh, what was something
good?
Let me think.
Because honestly, Ron, your answer was a little weak. I was expecting something
I know,
like...
right? Nothing ever good happens to me.
I found a gold nugget. I didn't panic at the sight of blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Anyway, Sean.
I guess earlier today, I played the Apple Fest out in Weaverville.
Oh, yeah. How'd that
got
go?
to play some
Plug.
tunes for some.
No, it's not a plug because it's done and over with.
Yeah, you can't plug.
It's something that happens annually, dude.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Plug.
All right, plug.
We'll allow it.
So that was good. I got to go play some music today, and then outside of that, just been plugging away on the plumbing here at the studio.
Oh.
Which is kind of getting exciting. Got the shower installed and the toilet sitting there, and
I see you got
the
some
sink.
sheet or
Yeah,
sheet
got
rock
Toilet's
some-
not installed? It's not.
Huh?
I was wondering why it didn't flush.
Yeah,
You didn't notice
it's
the lack of
hooked to the
water?
drain as it's installed, but the
I really had to go. I mean,
you're supposed to pour a 5-gallon bucket in
Emergency.
it.
situation.
Plus,
Like-
I'm seeing some nice lilac paint going on
Yeah.
back there.
Before we continue, I do want to say I'm going to be coughing a little bit. I'm going to
That's
try to do
actually
it
just the
off
color of
mic,
the
but I'm sick.
sheetrock.
Well, I was sick. I'm getting over it. Sorry. Plumbing, shower.
We don't want to let him know that it changed from green sheet to purple sheet.
He'll panic.
Yeah.
It'll be a full-on panic.
No, purple.
Oh, it's painted.
it's just the color
Ron,
for
it's
the
painted.
bathroom.
That's purple paint.
So
You change the
neither
color
ca-
up on Ron, it's like waving. It's like waving flash tape at a horse. He just like panics and fucking takes off.
So in either case, just been chipping away, learning plumbing and playing music, and kind of living that life. So I guess that's what's been good for me this week, just
Yeah.
accomplishing some goals and tasks.
Yeah, scratching off the to-do list.
The old to do, yep.
And Sam,
Let's see.
no. So you didn't let me finish. What's something good that's happened to you today?
I was really hoping you'd ask him a different question. Loren.
I was too. Today or this week?
This week.
Let's see. got most of my garden down.
Nice.
Got one plant left.
Mostly
as of
carrots?
today. No, it's marijuana. Yeah. Like I post pictures of my garden on Facebook. I'm pretty much not concerned about people knowing that's what I do.
Yeah.
With some of my time.
Plug.
Plug.
I don't think we should plug that, actually.
So that was cool. I feel like there was something else where I was like, yeah. But I
You
can't
did
remember.
come in really excited to the coffee shop the other day, and I was trying to remember. You were like hippity scopping and jumping jacks and stuff like that.
He had just masturbated. This is the truth. I mean, look at him. The beard.
Does it even really make you guys that happy to masturbate, though?
No, it just makes me tired.
Yeah, it makes me sleepy and like...
But after a coffee, man, you're going to have that zip in your step. You're going to be dancing to a whole new groove.
Sure. Sure, Ron.
But good things for the week.
Yeah,
Harvest is going well.
harvest is going well. I got to make a nice little chunk of money off my neighbor too. It was pretty easy to make. Yeah.
I guess we should shoot that question back at you, Loren.
Yeah.
What is
Good shit that happened to you
Yeah.
this week.
Well, as I said, like, it's gonna bear with me. I started off this week kind of sick and like I'm getting better, but like there was a couple days there where I just felt like death. And so one good thing that happened to me this week is that I started feeling better. Yesterday, I took a couple days off beforehand, but yesterday I felt good enough to go to work. Things went really well, but it's not been like a particularly notable week. It's been kind of like, I don't know, a little bit blasé. We got a new area at work, essentially forklift facelifted. And we're at a gardening center, and it's just been kind of a mess back there in regards to the pallet in the yard area. So my job is to go out there and clean it and make it look nice and drive forklift. And so we've been making a lot of forward progress in regards to like the way the shop is looking now. It's like, man, it's a completely different store.
I feel like
Which shop is
everybody's.
Sunshine Garden and Water Systems.
Plug.
That's definitely a plug. Now don't
I feel
know,
like everybody's
I know-
answer to this question was just like how'd your week go? And we're like, it was good.
I
I know.
thought he said it was going to be hard-hitting questions, too. Like, that's not like...
Yeah, it's real
No,
hard
but-
question.
I
What's some
s- I
good shit
s-
that happened?
I set it up to be anticlimactic, but I didn't know it was going to be this anticlimactic.
All right, sugar britches, it's cool.
It's kind of a
Well, I do have to point out that Mayor
Syrup
Parcel
shorts.
played last week at the
Oh, yeah.
out in Willow Creek at the Forks Lounge.
yeah, definitely.
And I guess it was a day before, a week from today, was the Digger in McKinleyville.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually a good time. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that
And
was
I-
a week
Plug
ago?
and plug.
That was a week ago today.
Oh, I was thinking
was
it was
the Willow Creek time.
Well,
So,
and
yeah.
I was absent for both of those things,
Yeah.
so they didn't happen for me.
Yeah.
So I couldn't.
Did
If
we-
I'd been there.
Yeah, you were also
Did
not on
we-
the episode last week, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry I missed everybody. I was busy. Could not.
It was
leave
honestly
town.
a really, really fun episode. It was kind of weird at a certain point because we were like, I remember at one point we were talking about how like God, like what kind of incident happened that God was left here and the other pantheon of gods just like left the planet. And we're like, you can have this fucking piece of shit here. And I just remember like listening back, or not listening back to it, but like at the end of the podcast being like, how did we get on this subject? Like this was a marvelous episode. But it's good to have you
week's-
back, Sam.
Last
Yeah,
week's
it's good to be
podcast
back.
went down real quick. It went south from we were like, hi, welcome onto the podcast.
I don't think it went that south. Actually, Ron, your dad called me a couple days ago and we were talking about Merit Parcel stuff. And he's just the sweetest guy in the world. And he was like, I'm sorry for getting all emotional
He's
on
a
your
honey baked
podcast.
ham.
Dude, I was surprised
was
that we
actually-
went from talking to dicks to basically making my dad cry on a
Yeah,
podcast.
that sounded like that was
and
such
then
a.
to Space Jesus? Like, how does that fit in one episode?
That sounds like the best fucking episode
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
we
okay,
felt like it
that's-
went downhill really quickly,
It just-
but I think it.
I
I
just
just
mean it
remember at
went-
one point being like,
disseminated
what are we
into,
doing?
like,
yeah, it was like we were
chaos.
expecting 30,000 feet and we were flying at like 10.
Yeah, yeah.
Waving
Next
at
thing you know,
everybody on the
Ron's
ground. They're
naked
like,
on
I
a
don't think you
toilet."
can fly here.
We talked about that actually.
first time.
That was so fun.
No, but it's good to have you back, Sam, because we definitely can't do this without you, buddy.
I
We need you. No, man, we
So the topic of the week I got to bring up, you got to bring up again, was monogamy and versus.
yeah. But before we get to that, I do want to say next week's episode is going to be very special. We were going to have him on tonight, but some unfortunate circumstances occurred to where he's unavailable. But we are going to have our friend Joe Dacey back on the podcast, and we were going to kind of talk a little bit about this and that and the other thing. But what I do want to plug is next week's episode is going to be taking place 4 days before Halloween, or 5 days. And our podcast will come out the day before Halloween. So next week's episode will actually be about like scary personal stories.
the
like,
Halloween special.
yeah,
huh?
our Halloween special, like near-death experiences or like just really creepy tales from the deep. You know what I mean? So like, I'm really excited to have.
I've got a couple.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to have Joe on because he is super jazzed about it. Again, Joe, I hope you get better. I hope things improve for you. But yeah, tonight's episode, thank you for busting us into that, Sean, is about monogamy versus non-monogamy versus polyamory. And now, a word from our sponsors.
New from Roundup, lawn poison.
Do you got Kentucky Blue? Do you got green anywhere? Ortho, it'll kill them all.
Are you a concrete lover? Are you tired of that pesky grass?
I'm just so tired of watering my lawn. I use the Roundup poison lawn because the rain keep my grass growing, and I ain't got time for that. I got water bills to pay.
Lawn poison, now in extra strength, will kill anything on your yard.
It killed my dog. It killed my truck. It took my wife.
It killed my neighbor. Shoot dang!
Roundup lawn poison. We're here for you. Thanks for listening to our sponsors. We're back.
Wait, there's a difference between non-monogamy and polyamory?
Yeah, and so I guess this is a perfect place to touch down. Is we'll define all three. Monogamy is a singular unit. You've got one couple, two paired people in a group, and they are committed to each other and only each other. They don't have eyes for anyone else. Now, non-monogamy is different in that it's like a singular person who is dating either one or multiple other people without being committed to any one of them in the partnered version of this, the two people nuclear unit.
The ethical slut, if you will.
Yeah. And we're definitely going to touch on that book. And then polyamory is the ability, or not the ability, that sounds wrong.
The ability.
It's the...
Right.
It's when you've got a nucleated couple, two people that are that they are the unit, and then those people both agree that either one or both of them can open up and explore other relationships, and some of those are like some of those are just like fling, some of them are like so there's a term used in polyamory where it's like, this is my main, or this is my main partner, and I've got a secondary or a tertiary partner. And so non-monogamy deals in a single person who is dating either singular or multiple people. And polyamory is about a couple who is interacting with the rest of the world.
So, okay, so monogamy and non-monogamy is kind of a defining point of a relationship status, if that makes sense.
Indeed, yeah.
And stuff where polyamory is saying, like, it's almost like the opposite of monogamy.
Swingers.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and that's kind of what one thing I wanted to touch on. I really like polyamory community because it's actually much more about open communication. And what they talk about is a couple of different books. One of them being The Ethical Slut, one of them being Emotional Intelligence. And what polyamory is it's essentially if we'll say in this example we've got a nucleated couple, we've got it's heterosexual. Man and a woman. If the man finds somebody attractive, and depending upon their rules about dating outside the couple, he can go and pursue a relationship with this person, which may or may not be sexual. It may or may not be romantic.
And this is, you said polyamory.
Polyamory, yeah. And the idea behind that is that there's this thing called toxic monogamy, and one of the things in toxic monogamy is like when you're dating one other person, you expect them to fulfill every single aspect of your life, to enrich every single aspect of your life. But that's just, and when they don't acquiesce to this ideal that you see them as, you see either yourself as flawed or them as flawed, in that you guys aren't compatible anymore. Whereas polyamory says, oh, I'm again in this example, I'm not able to play music with my girlfriend because she doesn't play guitar or whatever. So now I want to get into a romantic relationship with this person because I can fulfill this aspect of my life without burdening, again in polyamory, my main partner with like, well, you should learn how to play piano or something. Like, you should entertain me. And that's kind of the idea behind polyamory, is that there's this communication level where it's like, I can't cater to your every need. What I can do is be here for you in some way, some aspect. And I really like that there's
almost like a life partner.
Exactly.
Like type of deal where it's kind of this like, we'll talk about it when the time comes, but we're going to stick this through for a while, where monogamy is like, no, we've talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the like,
well,
what
and
we're going to do.
polyamory can be very much committed. You can be committed to this person. People can be married for years and years and years. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and read my quote. But Ron, you had something to say?
Well, yeah, this ideal thing, it seems like it's coming from the place of a single person. Because I think for the most part, most monogamous relationships have non-monogamous nature to them. Because if you're going to be with somebody for a certain amount of time, you're not going to expect everything to come from your relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's just having relationships with friends or other people, regardless of their sex, in relation to you. You can't, thrust that much, shit into one person to expect them to fulfill you entirely.
So
Especially when you understand that same person is filled with all these flaws that you have, or, in contrast to you, do not have in certain aspects. And so it's like, you can only get so much benefit from this relationship.
But yeah, coming from a person who's been strictly monogamous, most of my life, you never expect to full on just be a hermit and only live with your partner or whatever and just be happy there without venturing out. There's a social aspect to every human's life.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of see. That's where I'm curious on the difference. I was gonna say in questioning what. I guess I would have to ask kind of what each person's status is a little bit on what they consider themselves polyamory or monogamous or non-monogamous and stuff, and then to define a little bit, because I see this kind of as a difference on what sexualness means in the status of what we consider monogamy and polyamorous, and then the socialness.
Are you talking about how there's sexual and then social boundaries to polyamory?
So, and where I see,
monogamy?
what I see the risque part in any of these definitions of relationships is it can come down to, let's kind of like you were saying, Ron. One person isn't going to completely fulfill all the needs that you need type of deal, which is where polyamory comes in. But where does the sexual nature come in? Because I feel like that's the most argument things, where I would agree to a good nature that you're not going to find what you need in your partner, all the things in that, which is why I have a relationship with multiple people as far as just personal relationships. Even you guys, you know what I mean? There's things I get along with you that I'm not going to get out of a lifelong partner.
Yeah, we can talk music versus the bank cashier.
But there is some things I get, and I guess the difference is I guess impartially what we look at in part of relationships is the sexual aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Is I'm here to talk to you guys and go over some things that I need this relationship with you about, but I'm not here to get sexually,
I think most of these
involved
things,
with you guys, but a partner I am, though. So that's where I feel like the root of the question comes down to in this monogamous and this and that, because I feel like most of them all agree that even in a monogamous or polyamorous relationship, I'm not going to talk to my partner the same as I'm going to talk to my boys in the man cave, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And you need those two relationships, but
And that's why open and clear communication between the nucleated polyamory couple is so necessary.
Yeah.
Because if for instance, if my hypothetical girlfriend comes up to me and is like, "Hey, I've met this really cute guy, and I think I want to go like, he offered to take me on this extravagant thing, like this boat ride or something that I'm not able to do." It's like I'm not going to feel jealous that she's going out with now what I know as her friend. But if she's like, "Hey, I want to go out on a cruise with him," and there might be this like sexual connotation to it, and like that's the open and clear communication that I need in order to be able to be a polyamorous person. If I wanted to be non-monogamous, it'd be like, yeah, go do whatever you want to. Just let me know if you've been like you need to get tested every couple months. You need to like maintain your physical and sexual health. And I want to be notified with any new partners that you're with, just so that I'm aware of it. And whereas polyamory is, it kind of in the same light, the same. It's like you don't get permission to just go off and fuck whoever you want to, whenever you want to. There has to be an open and clear conversation. There has to be like a date.
Well, unless you have that.
Yeah, yeah,
permission,
and it's all about each couple. Yeah, you can have you could have communicated prior that like, look, I might go out and have a fling every now and again, and then as long as you come back and like if in this hypothetical situation, my girlfriend comes back and we've had this agreement, she can come back and be like, "Oh, I slept with somebody last night. We used protection or didn't, and this and that and the other thing." It was really, and from there the communication can continue. So I was watching. The reason for this whole episode is because I was watching Netflix, and they've got this show called Explained.
Plug.
I hope Netflix sponsors us. That'd be cool.
They
Anyway,
won't, but
yeah, they won't. They don't sponsor podcasts. Anyway, they
Ask our studio audience, dude.
they had this episode called Monogamy Explained, and I was watching this episode, and this very fucking poignant quote came up. And I'm going to read it now. It goes, this guy was talking about monogamy and non-monogamy. Him and his husband are polyamorous. And he says, "My husband and I have been together for 24 years and not monogamous for 20 of those years. And I've had people look at me and say, I could never do what you guys do because I value commitment too highly. All three of my previous marriages were monogamous." And what that says is this person was not committed to any of the people they were married to. They were committed to monogamy.
yeah, no. So I watched the same thing, and I heard that, and I thought that struck a good topic because then I thought about myself a little bit because I'm a very much a person of monogamy. I when I get with a person, I like them to be my gal. I like us to be a unit, a thing and stuff like that. And I like us to experience our own experiences together. And then if we're gonna break out, then that's like we'll get back together later or not. You know what I mean? That's like, well, okay, let's like split apart and stuff. So when I heard that, I found it quite interesting. I had to kind of think about myself. I was like, oh, well, am I committed to monogamy or am I committed to like beliefs and other things that kind of sent my mind down a spiral and stuff like that?
And for the record, all of these things are okay. No matter what you choose
and that's,
in regards to relationship
Actually,
style.
to me, like you may be more monogamy, like relate to that more or whatever. But like Loren was talking about with the lines of open communication, the fact that you could talk about something and split sounds more like a non-monogamous kind of thing.
So this is where it kind of got me a little bit is when you said there's three things. There's monogamy, non-monogamy, and polyamory. So, and I was like, I was only thinking of the two. And when you said non-monogamy, I almost felt like that fit
Your style.
where I'm at right now and stuff because I do very much value monogamy,
Being
but
single.
But
That's
more or
another
less,
term
and that's
for
what
it,
I
yeah.
was going to bring up is at the moment I very much value being single, much because I value monogamy so much that at the point in my life right now, I don't want to commit to that because I do value that commitment. So it's easier for me to explain out the gate that, hey, I'm very much into these styles and these things, and when I get with somebody, I'm going to be there. But right now, I don't want to worry about that. And I'm not trying to break anybody's hearts, and I'm not trying to re-explain. And more or less, I guess that was where the single versus a relationship, where relationship, is like monogamy and polyamory. That defines a relationship of two people that are committing to each other and picking a style. We're either going to talk about how we're not going to get with anybody else and hang out and have another social aspect going on, or we are, and we're going to talk about it. And that. But non-monogamous is I'm going to talk about how I'm going to have this thing without a relationship. And that's where I find it kind of unique and interesting and stuff. But
because I've been in the same boat where like I was dating this girl for a while, and despite my best efforts, she didn't want to open up communication about her desire to be with women. And so eventually we had to end the relationship in very shitty terms. And so since that communication, like I didn't feel that I could have that with people for a long time, I was just non-monogamous. I saw a couple of different people sometimes at the same time. I actually developed a polyamorous relationship with one woman for a little while and saw a bunch of other girls at the same time. And then everything kind of just like crumbled as relationships do. And it wasn't like a good or bad thing, because what I got to experience was the multitude of relationships in which I can enjoy. And I enjoyed all of them very thoroughly. I enjoyed having a nucleated girlfriend where it was me and her, and we were on the same team. She had my back, and we go forth and we conquer the world. That was beautiful. I loved having my own space where I could like have this or that person come over, and we could like spend the night together, watch movies. They'd show me, the way they think, or they'd show me movies or TV shows, and all sorts of things that I'd never thought of. And I liked having that being a rotational situation, and I loved having somebody on layaway, so to speak, somebody who I knew that I could always go back to and be in a relationship with, and it was just like nothing ever changed. And so for me, my personal situation is where like I don't care what kind of relationship that I'm in. What I want is to feel affection and desire and trust, and I want somebody on my team. And so for me, as long as communications are right, like it doesn't matter what kind of relationship.
So it sounds
I
like
enter
you
into.
have like monogamous proclivities or whatever,
Yeah.
because you want to have that one-on-one connection with someone.
But I could also have
Whether or
that
not-
one-on-one connection with a bunch of different people at different times or together. And so for me, it's just kind of like I'm pan-nogamous.
Part of the definition that we are using for polyamory is that you're in a relationship with one person, you have a partner,
Yeah,
and then you also have the ability to
have another.
based on the rules that or rules is probably a bad way to
The
say it,
foundations you
but
guys
Contract.
the agreement, whatever the agreements you have, based on the agreements that you make with this other person, you can see, date, spend time with, actively search for other partners too.
Yeah,
yeah.
So there's still like, you could still be building a whole life with that person and be polyamorous.
No, and I've got some friends that live that style of life, and I'm quite
all
impressed, to
do.
be honest and stuff.
We all do.
I'm like,
More or
holy cow!
less.
Like you guys
Well,
are
we all don't have
developing.
the same fucking friends. I'm not
Well, I'm
gonna
just
blow
saying,
anybody's
like we
spot
all,
up, but
I'm
like,
sure we all do and stuff. But it's quite impressive to me how well they're developing a life together, a partnership and stuff. But then still enjoying that. I like the word proclivities of what they individually like to do.
Yeah,
and
and
stuff.
like-
and they kind of come together on that. And I don't know how to. I don't even want to really know what their personal conversations might be and how they figured that out. But it really impresses me, that learning curve that they've gone through and stuff. And that's something I can't feel that I guess maybe it's just my difference in that like monogamous belief type of deal, and that where it's hard for me to accept that, even though I've gone through it and tried those conversations. I'm like, whoa, it doesn't. I just can't. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm stuck on these
And so
traditional methods, if that makes sense.
And now it's time for a commercial break. I don't know, just like do some stuff. Well, we play this thing for you. You'll like it. Buy stuff.
Wiccan blankets. Do you know a Wiccan that looks cold? Get a blanket for a Wiccan. Wiccan blankets.
Did you ever want to buy something that smelled primarily of sage and Palo Santo? Wiccan blankets. They're flammable.
made for and by Wiccans. We've even put spells on them.
Wiccan blankets charged with the stolen dreams of the world's children.
1 drop of blood per blanket, guaranteed. Wiccan blankets brought to you by Wiccans for Wiccans.
They may also be cursed.
They are blessed under the full moon.
www.wiccanblankets.org or something.
Fuck our sponsors. It's time for more Black Sheep and Bad Apples.
The Ethical Slut, the book, I can't remember the authors right now, I'm sorry. But it talks about all these topics we're talking about right now. And one of the base ideas that they have is something along the lines of an ethical slut is somebody who believes that sex feels good and feeling good is good for you. And so they talk about how, like, you can draw whatever lines you want to in whatever kind of relationship you want. In this case, we'll say non-monogamy. And so you can draw lines that are like, oh, we can't hold hands in public because I don't want people to see me like that, or whatever your reasons are. But the idea is you lay down these communication factors, and you're like, look, my hard line is we're never gonna go to a bar, or we're never gonna do this or that or the other thing. And in the same regard, polyamory is very much so. It's based in communication and the ability to have emotional intelligence, the ability to, so for instance, jealousy. No matter what I do, can't make my partner feel any better about their jealousy. The only thing I can do is hear them out, and when they are jealous, try to understand where they're coming from. But the real issue there is being accountable for self, is being accountable for your emotions and how you react to them. Because you can be angry, but you cannot be cruel. You can be jealous, but you can't, oh man, it sounds funny to say, but Will Smith has a quote where he says, you can make people smile, but you can't make them happy. And that's kind of the point of polyamory, where it's like, if I can't provide for you this aspect of it, I need you to be so self-aware that you know that you need to seek. We'll say that I'm a hermit, but this person that I'm with is just they are a social butterfly. You can't get mad at me because I don't want to go out. You have to go out and do your thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, and so it's about like being self-actuated and providing your own happiness more than it is like, oh, I'm just going to go out and fuck this person because they're hot, And so for me, it's fascinating because it also deals with how our next step of intellect should be is emotional. We should be emotionally aware of how we feel and able to at least get a grasp on that. So like with jealousy, it's like you can feel jealous, and if this is something that's really uncomfortable for both of us, I don't have to go out on this date with this new person, but we need to be able to communicate about this. And if you're still feeling like this, maybe polyamory isn't for you. And that's where things get kind of hairy, because it's like you can like the idea of it, but if you don't have the emotional capacity to deal with the emotional consequences of this, and yeah, if you can't deal with these things, then it's probably not for you until you learn to get to that level.
So how do you feel this relates in watching what we were talking about the other day?
Oh, Monogamy Explained?
Yeah. They were going through almost the like humans from early on till now and stuff, where like most other mammals, we're a mammal and stuff like that. Mammals don't think about monogamy or polyamorous. They just think about reproduction. The frog grabs the next frog. Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty basic, like,
it's just
nature of a being that's
trying to stay on.
That's why we
have sex bits.
Yeah, so with that in mind, the traditional, over the course of what you look at as like actual humanity, the traditional monogamous relationship of getting married and having kids and not another partner and staying, like adultery is a crime in countries type of deal, wasn't introduced till, like hundreds of years ago and stuff like that. So it's fairly new in the actual curvature of how long humans have been humans type of deal. So it brings on this traditional fact that we start looking at monogamous relationships as almost a different weird there's a bunch of angles on it. You know, when you look at like the kingdoms and stuff, it was how to spread their seed in a traditional format that built up a.
Yeah, because it used to be common for like a king or like a prince to marry a princess, just so that they could expand both families' territories.
So it was,
and then the princess, who later became the queen, knew that the king was going off and fucking all these women at the brothel. You know what I mean?
Doing whatever and stuff like that.
That's a
but
classic
for quite a while.
It's a classic theme throughout aristocracies.
Yeah.
For quite a while,
political marriages are not happy ones.
It was a chosen
Generally,
marriage where they were put together for a business format, if you will. And then not that long ago, let's say cut that time frame in half of when traditional marriages and monogamous relationships became a thing. Then that like non-forced marriage became a deal where it was like you got to seek out love. You need to choose your partner and you guys need to love each other and then make that contract, you know, and stuff. But by choosing it, we're not going to choose it for you. You guys need to choose that.
You
because
need to fall
that's what
head
it's about.
over heels.
So then the traditions started happening and this and that, where you need to find your wife or a shotgun marriage or a this and a that, you know, type of deal and stuff. So then it comes back to this polyamorous type of deal where it's like, well, what's the true nature? Because if you look back at the majority of a timeline of a human, the true nature was just to reproduce. It wasn't about. It was about. Now we go and stuff. Now there's another.
Yeah, like
being.
bonobos.
It had nothing to do with communication.
Well,
which is like the main spawn in most modern relationships. Is regardless of what you choose, as long as you communicate and have that fucking one-on-one relationship with another person, communication's key. Right?
Yeah,
I
well,
guess
like
I-
bonobos,
throughout all of
they're second or third closest to us on the family tree, and they just fuck everyone, like homosexual, straight, like friend, that like they don't care, and it's really interesting because they actually do it as a way to like bond with each other, is to like bring the pack together and to be like
It's a little
friends.
homie sex.
Yeah, like homie sex, like friends with benefits. You know what I mean? It's like
Have you guys ever read It?
nope, we're not gonna get into
original-
that either.
well,
we're not
I'm
gonna
just
we're not gonna
saying.
get into that, Ron.
The only
we're not
way
gonna get
they
into
found
that,
out of
Ron.
that tunnel.
Ron, we're not gonna get into that. God damn it! This podcast is going to shit.
It's already
going so
tumbling
smooth.
downhill.
Anyway, one thing I really like about just there's something to be said that everybody really wants to feel that oxytocin. Everybody wants to feel that hug, that tight squeeze, and stuff like that. You know, and I Ron, do you have something to say?
I'm sorry, I just laughed at the oxytocin thing and the tight squeeze after we talked about homie sex.
Ron got so fucking uncomfortable right now.
Yeah, dude.
He's like red as a fucking
It's like,
beet.
yeah, that tight squeeze.
Did you? Are you drunk? Have you been
yeah,
drinking?
I'm hammered.
No, like
Who wants some homie love, guys?
Come here, big boy.
this is come here, big boy. I'm glad we have open dialogue, Sam.
Oh, Ron's dummy thick. Are you kidding?
So I guess through what we explained, I would have to ask Ron, what would you consider out of the three: monogamous, non-monogamous, or polyamorous? What's your
Well,
What's your
Functually.
style, baby?
yeah?
well, I'm definitely monogamous, man.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I've definitely been a piece of shit and like cheated on some girlfriends in the past and
Oh,
stuff.
no.
Which is, I think, the main reason, like, open communication is the main fucking thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, in some of those past things, if we would have talked about it a little more, there wouldn't have been so much jealousy and
There
stuff.
would have been a lot
Yeah.
more understanding.
But
and
also, at the same time, I've had enough friends that were polyamorous and stuff, and the jealousy is still a fucking stage of their relationship because they may or may not talk about, like, have the open lines of communication that they should have had.
yeah, I gotcha.
And that's the main reason it failed.
Well, and some people are just experts at communication, and they can make any kind of relationship run smoothly. Whereas some people will call themselves like polyamorous. They'll call themselves that name and just be absolute shitheads who want to fuck everything, and just have no sense that like, hey, if I communicate, like things might get better, they might get worse. Either way, we're both on the same level, and like it's there are shitheads in every kind of group demographic you can think of.
across
And I
the
think
board.
that's where a lot of people are like, I've never seen a polyamorous relationship work out. It's because it's like, well, that's just the name they called themselves after being
Right.
cheating pricks.
Yeah, they weren't
Because
truly.
when I see really like actually open communicating polyamorous relationships where that fit this definition that we're using
Yeah.
to some degree or another, what I generally see are just two people who are totally in love with each other,
Yeah.
fucking amazing friends. They're like best friends. I'm like so jealous of their friendship almost.
just
In
It's
some
having
like,
way.
it's like the definition of wholesome.
Like you had mentioned the like there's things you say like with that you the reason you have friends versus like a significant other or girlfriend, like there's things that you can do and say with your girlfriend that you don't do and say with your friends and vice versa. But what if that wasn't the case? What if
totally.
instead of being like, you got to go and like, come down and hang out with the boys because you saw this unbelievably beautiful woman that day. And like, you didn't talk to her. You didn't go out of your way. You know what I mean? You did nothing besides see her, right? You're in a monogamous relationship and you're committed to your partner,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But what if you could just go home and tell your partner about it?
Be like,
And-
babe, there
and
was
she
this
was like-
bombshell today. Holy
She was
fuck.
like, "Oh, that's awesome," and was just like excited because you got to see this. What amounts to a work of art when you just see a person that you interact with not at all
No,
on
and
some
that's-
level, and you feel that attraction. It's like art. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
But there's
as
no
much as it
replicating
is
it.
like an emotional, physiological attraction.
No, but see, and that's where I get a little bit confused because I've been in a relationship where we had open communication like that, but we still had a commitment to each other, so we didn't go outside of us. Maybe we would talk about it, maybe we would think about it, maybe we would this and that, but the communication was there. So it was like this borderline polyamorous relationship, but
Yeah.
we never.
It was never completely open.
You never
but
had
you guys-
multiple partners. You
No,
didn't,
yeah.
You didn't act on it.
You
Yeah,
didn't
exactly.
pursue a polyamorous.
We threw ourselves in the situation a couple times, and then like didn't really.
Like,
It wasn't really what we were shooting for and stuff.
Right.
But the communication was there, and that's what I do agree. I think you brought up a good point. Is through any of these, I think it seems to be a key of communication.
Yeah, and if you're
And
shitty
that's-
at communication, you can't run any of these relationships. I think is the point.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's right.
And I think it's like a descending platform too, where it's like, where like you could probably be in a monogamous relationship for a really long time, being bad at communication. You probably couldn't do it or you could probably do it for a little longer with a bunch of different people being non-monogamous, and then being polyamorous. You're gonna run aground like very, very quickly.
Well, and I can see this like balancing of like a monogamous relationship that stays stable as that, but occasionally steps out the boundaries into a little polyamory. You know what I mean? Like at the right party, at the
But I
right
think that's
situation, or
just a
something.
polyamorous relationship.
Or an open
But
relationship.
yeah, but
Depends
not
on
all
the
the-
terminology.
Not all the
really.
Yeah,
time, you know what I mean?
open,
Where it's like,
poly-
let's say over a course of a lifetime relationship, maybe that only happens twice to one couple, but it happens twice a month to another couple.
Yeah.
Right.
Where I wouldn't quite consider one, like the one that does it twice ever throughout a lifetime, really a polyamorous relationship. It's almost like got a little crazy in college type of deal.
Yeah, yeah.
In that, but the guys, the couple that are doing it twice a month are in a polyamorous relationship. Like they're seeking it more often over the course of that lifetime. So and I just look at dividing or putting the two in the same boat of like a lifetime commitment. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like both of them are stating that lifetime commitment between
Indeed.
those two.
Or at
versus
least that's
mon-
the intention.
besides the non-monogamous single. That's kind of
Yeah.
the floater in between. You know what I mean?
Definitely. It's the gray area between our contrasting positions.
Yeah, most of the stuff is gray area anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only one, the one that's the least gray area is monogamy, in the traditional sense of
Yeah.
like, like Yeah, you see a woman, but you definitely don't fucking go say even hi to her, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's you're like, oh, she's cute, and that's the extent of what happens in your head, and then you like put it aside.
Yeah. Cute
Or-
waitress,
or-
you're like blinders. Thank you, miss.
Or you don't even notice. I mean, some people are in monogamous relationships; they only have eyes for their other.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't like
That like love at first sight, and it's just
it.
done locked.
And those
used
are
to be the only
also
thing in my spank
amazing.
bank.
You know, sort of they're amazing relationships to witness from the outside because it's almost the same exact relationship as the polyamorous. Like at the end of the day, all these relationships, when you have a strong relationship with somebody and that you share intimate moments with and a lot of your life with, it's always gonna look nice from the outside.
You know,
Because
we even talked.
it only
we
exists
even-
because of the communication.
And we haven't used the word. I don't think. Maybe we have, but there's still love there. Like that love is what's important.
Yeah.
That closeness.
Right.
That's what we're really talking about in all
Right.
these relationships is just feeling that warm person next to you, that like gentle kiss on your head, that fucking shoulder rub when you get home, that shoulder to cry on. Like all these relationships are about trying to feel the same thing, and I think it's important that we persist on into all these relationships for
I
love.
think everybody experiences at some point in their life, and for a lot of people, it's for most of their life, the desire to not be alone in the darkness.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Even if that's literally the dark of your bedroom,
exactly.
right? And you know, for some people, it's not all the time. I don't personally always want to sleep next to someone.
Yeah,
When I was a kid, I had a friend whose parents didn't sleep in the same room together. And I didn't really understand their relationship.
were they still like warm to each other? Because they could have been like separating.
Well, my grandparents slept in the same room for years until it got to be in their older age, and they're, still now and stuff. They sleep in separate rooms, and it kind of blew me away when the first time like I went over there. I go there year after year and visit them and stuff. Grandpa was telling me I was sleeping in the old guest room and got his bed there, and Grandma's got the main room, and so then I kind of just like hushed it off, but like put it out there, and I was like, wait a second, like are you guys, like in my brain I was like, you guys okay? No, it was on a totally different part. It was like, I slept next to this man for so many goddamn years.
I can
and he
imagine it's what it's like
snores,
sleeping
and he's
next to
getting
Ron.
older, and I just want to goddamn sleep at
I just
night.
want
Oh,
to.
yeah, yeah,
I want
yeah.
one
And he
good
is so
night
respectful.
of
In the
goddamn.
same, it's such a loving thing that he's like, "Are you having trouble sleeping at night? Oh, well, let me go over here because
Yeah.
I don't want to bother you." And it's
Open
not.
communication.
Yeah, it's not
Right,
like it's a
right.
thing. It's not like they're even mad at each other.
And,
well,
and see,
I
that-
think
that
the older you get, the smaller your ego.
exactly.
Your
yeah.
ego dies over time if you're a healthy person,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Well, and it's like I can
And
imagine
the
getting
ego's
like
the
being
issue with
Justine.
relationships anyway.
I can imagine
for
being
sure.
Justine sleeping next to Ron. Ron's notorious if you sleep in a bed with him for just grabbing you and pulling you in like a black hole of muscle.
I'm a cuddler. What can I
muscle
say?
and
Snuggle monster.
Yeah, he's the worst. And
Dummy
so like
thick
I
snuggle.
can imagine.
Who wouldn't want to cuddle this? Look at my thick frame.
I mean, your cute little cheeks too.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever lose those baby cheeks, by the way? Or have they just been there forever?
No, I don't think so. It runs in the family.
Yeah, yeah.
You've seen my dad.
Oh yeah.
But
And
yeah,
your uncle.
man. No, I've never gotten complaints about my cuddling, except for when I share a bed with like somebody that's
members?
not supposed to share a bed with.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Tell the story.
dude. No, so there's this one story I'm thinking of. Well, I mean, this isn't like a band thing. This goes back before then. But I mean, like I've always, trips or whatever where you gotta share a bunk with somebody.
Yeah.
Freaking. So my uncle Greg, who you guys met
Yeah.
in Portland over there, for a while there, he had me helping him with like low voltage, like kind of apprenticeship to install security cameras and stuff. And so we had this one job where it required us to go stay out in Seattle for like a week to work on this basically hardware store installing cameras. Finally, we got our job done. They snuck me into a Spanish like dance club. When I'm like 19, a couple years from drinking age. First of all, it had a dress code, so not only did I end up snuggling with Juan, but he had to let me borrow his nicer clothes just so I could get in there, because they're not letting me walk in with my dicky shorts and t-shirt.
You ended up snuggling Juan, you said?
Yeah, dude, so first of all...
we're talking about the person whose name is Juan.
Juan was our coworker.
Okay.
Shout out to Juan, man.
Plug.
Fucking Prime Systems
That's
plug.
Shout out.
So,
fuck's sake,
dude,
I'm losing.
I get hammered, quickly. End up having the freaking some bouncer drive all of us home, basically to this hotel that we've been staying at for a week. I end up blackout drunk, like deciding to take a shower. In the morning early.
Who?
I do.
Oh, just you.
Just me.
I thought I heard we.
In the morning, I end up blackout drunk to take a shower. I end up waking up early at like fucking 4:35 a.m. in a bath just full to the brim, overspilling in this hotel room, fully clothed in Juan's clothes that he let me borrow for the night. Just pouring water into the hall in the hotel room. From then, I decide to get in my pajamas and like fucking go where I was supposed to sleep.
Did you clean any of the water up?
Fuck no, bro. It's a hotel room, dude. They got people for that shit. So ultimately, I got to my spot where I was supposed to like share a bunk with Juan, man.
You mean a bed?
A bed. A bed's a bunk, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
sure.
But
so even still, only sleeping there for 3 hours. He fucking woke up with me just fucking cuddled all around him, fucking leg hitched over his fucking,
Jesus Christ.
Luckily, I wasn't in his wet clothes anymore.
And I was worried that this story was going to end with you being nude and him beating the fuck out of you.
Hey, we're boys, man. We was like secured enough systems, if you catch my drift.
I don't.
Nobody catches your drift, bro.
But yeah, dude, that was fun. That was fucking first time I woke up in a full bathtub.
I've never woken up in a full bathtub.
It's time for a commercial break, you guys. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of your gun not going off for no reason at all? Introducing Risky Pistol.
Risky Pistol by Feelin' Lucky Arms.
Shoot 'em up, bang 'em up, shoot 'em up, bang 'em up, Risky Pistol.
Are you afraid of gun safety? Risky Pistols is the product for you.
It'll just go off for no reason at all, for no fucking random reason. It'll go off randomly.
My uncle shot himself in the knee with his Risky Pistol 45. It was sitting on a counter 20 feet away.
Woo, Risky Pistol. Ah, yeah. LuckyArms.com.
My aunt got murdered, and it ain't even my uncle's fault. Risky Pistols.
Risky Pistols brought to you by the makers of the Risky Pickle.
Risky Pickles. Somewhere in this jar of pickles, there's a fucking needle.
Shoot 'em up, bang 'em up. My gun's a pickle.
Did we just lose topics, though?
Hey, welcome back to the show from our sponsor commercial break thing that we just made you listen to and subjected you to and stuff. Thanks.
You guys want to tell? We got like 10 minutes
it.
left. You guys want to tell some blackout stories?
Ooh.
Sam, I know you got some.
I don't really have any blackout stories aside from the one time I peed on my clean clothes in a tote.
Those are the stories I'm asking
Yeah.
about. So,
Details.
did you have a girlfriend at the time?
No.
Oh, so you just pissed in your shit and went back to bed.
I actually had no idea. I'd gone out the night before with my buddy John. This is when I lived in Eureka. And we went to I think it must have been like a Tuesday night or something. We went to Humboldt Provisions, they have like $1 oyster night, and we're just like fucking crushing like raw oysters.
Blackout drunk on a Tuesday, dude. Fucking
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
So
I love that you're also getting blacked out drunk eating oysters.
Oh yeah.
So
That's like-
no.
if-
Like they only serve beer at this place. There's no like hard liquor.
But still, that's not an equation
I am
for
incapable.
fucking
I'm
throw up.
incapable of blacking out on beer. I can't drink enough of it. I know that sounds terrible to say. It's just like I get way too full. I don't drink beer that
Yeah.
fast.
No, it's a way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's why I drink beer primarily is because
If you're smashing blackout beer, that's like
I know
You better have
I
a
knew
belly.
people who
that looks pregnant.
yeah.
because
You'd have to
you can't
eat,
drive
you-
it,
or
like-
you'd have to drink like Widowmakers or Plug, or
Widowmaker's a different
bastards.
fucking story. That shit's not. It's like
That's
that's sipping beer.
Widowmakers ain't nothing to fuck with.
9.2%.
Anyways,
So we go to like $1 oyster night, crush a bunch of oysters, then we go over to the Vista Del Mar Plug, which is right by.
Pitter patter.
It's like in Old Town. And we're just having more drinks. I like take like a couple shots of whiskey. Oh, we went over there because they have the shuffleboard, right? So we're like having drinks, drinking, playing
shuffleboarding.
shuffleboarding, all that jazz. We're like, all right, let's get out of here. I'm definitely drunk. I'm not driving, like, so I'm drunk. I'm not that drunk. We grab our bill, and I'm like, one more shot of whiskey. Seems totally reasonable.
But
but-
they
And
had
like
not
the
all
last
caught
thing I
up with you, though.
remember is like taking that shot and like we leave. I don't remember getting in the car. I remember rolling a joint back at my house, and I was drunk.
Like hammer drunk.
Let's roll this joint real quick. And we smoked a joint, and John takes off, and I wake up in the morning, and I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, kind of like it's my bed's just a mattress on the floor. I'm like my feet are like sprawled out, but like my knees are splayed, but my ankles are stuck together because my pants are around my ankles.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm like laying on the end of the bed. I get up, I like pull my pants up. I'm not wearing a shirt, so I grab like a clean t-shirt out of the clean t-shirt tote.
Yeah.
My clothes are in like a tote.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And it's coated in piss. Is that what
Dude,
you're
and
going
I don't
for?
even know. I'm not fucking paying any attention, dude. I've got a hangover. I'm like, I put the shirt on, I walk out into the living room, sit down, and I'm like, yo, this shirt's damp. I'm like touching
He's
the
rubbing
shoulder
his
of it.
shoulder. Yeah.
I'm like, what the? I smell it, and it smells like asparagus.
yeah.
And I'm like, yo, did the dog piss?
Dogs don't eat asparagus though.
Well, I mean, the dog is not capable of pissing in the tote. Like it was
Yeah,
like
of course not.
really obvious. Like when I went back and I looked at the tote, and everything was wet inside it. The only thing that could have happened is that I literally sat down on my bed and fell asleep. Got up at some point in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
dropped my pants to my ankles, pissed in my clean clothes, and sat back down on my bed and fell asleep again.
All right, I got a quick story too. I'm gonna start with like a typical tell the end part of the story and then tell the beginning part. So I woke up from sleepwalking in the middle of a fight with one of my ex-girlfriends, and this all started from drinking absinthe the night before. I had a couple friends out. I fucking love absinthe. I did like 3 of them, I remember, and then we played beer pong, and at a certain point, from what my girlfriend later told me, I had got up, walked over to the corner of the room, pissed in the middle of it, or pissed in the corner of the room, and then I had walked out into the hallway and was like trying to lay down, but then I kept getting up and like going to the bathroom, and then like going and just like acting really weird because at this point now I was sleepwalking. And so she comes out and she's like, "Hey, you're sleepwalking, which to which I'm replying, "No, I'm not. I'm here. I'm awake. I'm obviously walking around." And she's like, "No, you're fucking sleepwalking." And again, from what I later pieced together, this was like a 20-minute, 30-minute conversation we were having until finally she's yelling at me. And what I do is I wake up in the middle of this argument. I've got no idea why I'm pissed. I've got no idea why she's yelling at me and I'm yelling at her. But we're just fucking going at it like 4 in the morning. And it's just like, I'm not sleepwalking. And then I did that typical white boy move just to prove to her that I was not sleepwalking. I punched a hole in the wall.
All right, Kyle.
Yeah.
Fucking chill.
Fucking
No.
Chad.
No, but having said that, I do want to give out a disclaimer. If any of you guys know anybody who sleepwalks, or you suspect somebody of sleepwalking or not being fully conscious, ask them to just go back to bed, because that would have gotten rid of so many issues in my entire life. Because I'm a sleepwalker, just like, hey, go back to bed, bud, and they'll just turn the fuck back around for the most part and go to bed.
Man, I don't feel like I have like a banging blackout story at all.
Maybe you just
I don't
blacked
really
out
think
just
mine-
right.
That's. I'm like I got
banging.
Did
the
you
only
say you
one
burned out right?
Ooh, plug. Ooh. Yeah.
That's a song name from Merit Parcel. Plug.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that any of you guys give a shit, but I'm single or non-monogamous, I guess you'd say, at current.
Yeah. So what's the common? You're single. What'd you say? Non-monogamous.
Non-monogamous at current, because I just, there's no prospective,
Yeah.
like, partners around.
So would you
Hayfork's pretty fucking.
I just thought you were into
Dead.
dudes, man. Like, what was up with those homie cuddles the other night, dog? Fuck, seriously?
Yeah, and you're always trying to move in with me and marry me and shit.
So would you say
mean-
you're because it's a relationship status, currently single, non-monogamous, leaning towards monogamy or
No,
polyamorous?
I mean, if I was gonna be in a relationship, it would probably be a polyamorous one, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Much of what I like about relationships has little to do with like the sex.
Yeah.
But I definitely like meet a lot of people that I would do sort of relationship stuff with. You know what I mean? Like things that I would imagine the girlfriends I dated in monogamous relationships would have like issue with, even though I'm definitely not like going home and having sex with these people. Or, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't really want to say like I wouldn't be into monogamy in that sense.
I get what you're saying, like, being as monogamous as I am. Like, my chick would definitely hate if I just, like, took a chick out to dinner. Like,
Right.
yeah, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's like, even with open lines of communications, like, having that fucking line kind of drawn in the sand, it's just something you don't do, you know?
Yeah,
as
yeah.
far as a monogamous relationship would go.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, yeah, totally, you do. Like, you have friends, like, and it always bothered me in monogamous relationships that there was some issue of me, like, going to dinner with my friend who happens to be a fucking attractive female that I've never had a romantic relationship with. Mm-hmm. But there's, like, I can't go to dinner with them because that's too much like a date.
Yeah.
And you're uncomfortable. Why?
See,
You
I'm in
know
the
what I
position.
mean? Like-
I'm in the position where, like, a friend of mine actually explained it extremely well. So I'm gonna paraphrase her. She said, "I'm in a position where I'm gonna start off any relationship non-monogamously. Like, and this isn't like super serious.
Right.
Like, we're just gonna start off here with maybe the intention of moving on to monogamy, and from there, the discussion can be had about whether we're gonna open it up or stay as a singular unit. And so for me, again, it's like." Those are the stages in which I'm going to explore any kind of relationship. And so, like, the label is kind of like, not like, ideally I want to be monogamous, and then each relationship will kind of figure itself out, I think.
I mean, there's something like just natural when you really fucking are into somebody and they're really into you and you're just starting out a relationship. Like, it's just sort of, it's almost normal. Like you spend an extra amount of time with each other anyway. Like you almost like overdo it. a little bit. And I feel like a lot of times, even though we don't recognize that that's what we're doing, we're like, it's like purpose built into our emotional content.
Yeah.
As people, because we have such complex societies at this point, and our social structure has been getting more complex over hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah.
So there's an evolution that's occurring too.
All right. So, sorry to cut us off, but we only got minutes left. We need Sam. Did you have a word of the day?
I could not remember what the word of the day was, but I'll just go with panoply, which is like a
Ba-ding!
Bing, word of the day.
word of the
With
day.
dictate.
Dictates.
How that dictate.
Oh my God.
So panoply is like a multitude of variety. Is a
So
good
it's
way
like
to-
a bunch of
multitude of-
options.
yeah, you could say there was
Similar.
a panoply of color.
Oh, interesting.
Almost like a plethora.
Yeah, but a plethora could be singular. A panoply sort of in
Oh, okay.
is
It's a
indicating
plethora of plethros.
yeah, it's indicating
like
like a variety of things.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I think the next thing we should try to punch on is band beef.
Ooh, Bambi.
Fuck Hobo Johnson.
Yeah.
First of all,
And
fuck Hobo Johnson.
Have any of us listened to any more of his songs or just the one?
I hopefully never listened to any of his songs.
Dude, I wasn't sure if I was on the fucking.
I'm not trying to criticize his music.
I wasn't like so
Yeah,
on the
I-
fuck Hobo Johnson train, man. But like,
Wait,
Dude.
are you abandoning the fuck Hobo Johnson?
no, I'm not at all.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, because I was like, all right, maybe fuck this guy. But like, then I had to look into it more, and like, even more than normal. Like,
You were like,
I'm
double
into the
fuck this
double
guy.
fuck Hobo Johnson, man.
Well, good to know.
that's pretty good Bambi.
And that should
right there.
pan apply.
Any final thoughts? Wow, a resounding no.
Wow.
No,
that was
I guess
Anyway,
not. I
Actually,
mean,
Oh,
this,
all of a
not
sudden.
that'll fit in the time remaining.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This has been Black Sheep and Bad Apples. I want to thank Sam for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Baby, your
See you
wisdom
later,
is just
everybody.
gets me so hard. I want to thank Ron for doing his thing.
Oh,
Coming
shucks.
in and just being all baby cheeked.
Oh.
And then Sean,
Abaca.
you're a piece of shit.
Always.
Thank you for being my piece of shit co-host.
Yep.
And as always, I'm Loren O'Brien with Black Sheep and Bad Apples.
Dude, man, that was like the most hard hitting after we said it was going to be hard hitting, and it wasn't. Super anticlimactic. Pre-epiphany.